Hi guys, I'm Alice Green and welcome back to the Funky Evolution Party. Today I thought, it's been a couple of weeks that I was going to cover, and I know you guys are very aware of this, the mockery of democracy, basically. And, everyone's preaching we live in these democratic states and, we're all free speech, free this, free that, when actually we're not. If you don't agree, you get cancelled. If you have an opinion, you get cancelled. If you say anything, you get cancelled. Cancel this, cancel that. I've already done a video about all of that. But today I'm going to touch on some serious subjects because I am so tired of watching governments worldwide waste, and I mean waste, taxpayers' money. We are slaves paying into this system, watching them spend billions and billions and billions of pounds on a defense system while the unemployment rate is soaring, the immigration, because of all these wars and these displaced people, putting them on barges, on boats, hoping that someone's just going to untie the boat and it floats off, and then it's not our problem anymore. It's just not going to cut it anymore. We need to come up with creative ideas and creative solutions to issues that the normal people are facing. And we're talking about unemployment. Why is there such a high number of unemployment? Yes, COVID closed a lot of businesses down. People aren't spending money, so you can't hire money. Me, for example, wanting to open up a company, the amount of money you get taxed, there is no leeway for the everyday person. The leeway is at the top and at the governments who want your money so they can go and blow it again on drugs, wars, and what I call political affairs. Everyone's in each other's pockets, and for what? Who is actually benefiting? It's not me and it's not you. It's not the people that have all been displaced from their homes, have got nowhere to go. If you take a look back through history, there has always been empires that come and then they go, that is fine. But we now live in 2023 as a global community, i.e., in Asia right now, wanting to go in and aggressively take countries. I'm sorry, you're going to have to not get your things that are made in that country anymore. We as people are going to have to say, okay, I'm going to have to do without that in order to put a very firm standing there saying, this is not acceptable behaviour. It's not throwing billions of pounds into defence forces, sending missiles and rockets and boys' toys to fight wars that shouldn't even exist. Why is it that, okay, let's go into Russia and Ukraine, thinks that they can just go in and take a country and displace all its people? What is that? It's not democratic. It's a dictatorship. We as the everyday people who are paying for this, because the country doesn't just miraculously grow money on a tree. Everybody goes out to work, pays money into this system, and then it's gone. You don't see it. So really, what are we? We are just peasants feeding a system of greed, of liars and thieves. Got Biden, who's completely senile, shouldn't even be working anymore. He should be retired, right? Making a complete mess of things internationally. And it's us people that suffer. Why are these people even in power? How is it that the Rainbow Mafia has managed to almost cancel women completely, and you've got brands like Adidas putting men in women's swimsuits for women like me to go, oh yeah, I'd really like to look like that. He's not even hot. Didn't even say, that would be cute if my boyfriend put on my... What is it? What are you trying to sell us? What is it that you want women to do? Do you want us just to keep our mouth shut, put us back in the corner and hope that we don't exist anymore? We are 50% of the population when every single woman on the planet is saying, we don't agree with this. And you're like, oh, you're not being inclusive. Fuck you. Who's not being inclusive? You're not including our opinions. You're not including, so many women are so self-conscious about their bodies. You want me to look like a 6-foot man who's got no hips? Like, what is wrong with the world where this wokeism, it's not being awake, it's sleeping. It's sleeping through the static. It's about like, oh, if I say something, we're at the end of tourist season. I suggest everybody get their balls back, start looking at where your money is actually being spent, why the unemployment rate is so high, and what are we going to do with all of these immigrants coming in. Now, this is part 2, which is the actual solution. So I don't just talk about problems. I am a creative problem solver, right? I'm not even that creative. I'm just looking at history. It's like, let's just go back a few centuries where, people that were displaced were actually put onto disused land and spaces like farms. So I've already put it out there to the world that why are we trying to keep pushing the problem on? Why don't we use immigrants to actually fuel the economy from within? So rather than try and ship them off to Rwanda, why don't we put them on some farms? Then you could ask some people who already speak the language, culture, and all of that, would you like to participate in the building of this culture, and introducing the culture to our immigrants who will be working. You could literally, and it's not a camp, it's like they get to go there, you give them education, you got schools for the kids, they get to learn English or whatever, German or whatever language they're in. You teach them. You don't just throw money at them and hope that, they just sweep them under the carpet and then go, we've spent so much money on immigration and we don't know how to solve the problem. We have so much farmland. Fruit is going to waste. Oh, yeah, the Brits are really going to go do it. They used to do it for a holiday, not for a living. You want us to go out into the farms and do it? Because it's going to cost me, like, if I want to go to Ramsgate for the day, it costs me almost £40. So by the time I've gone to work and come back, what have I made? Nothing. And maybe that is the whole point of this system, is to keep us locked in. But what about the alternative? What if we were all empowered? You wouldn't need the arms race. You wouldn't need so much money injected into policing us, because we wouldn't actually need to do naughty things. We wouldn't need to hide our taxes. We wouldn't need to do all of these things. But it's because the powers that be, in their wisdom, or shall I say lack of, because really it's very simple. We have all of this land. We have all of these displaced people that we, as the democratic nations, displaced, and now we don't want anything to do with it. Well, actually, if you want to boost your economies, I suggest you start looking at these people as resources. If the government was smart, they could use them for building and construction. They could open up their own enterprises and use these people for that. And that is not slavery. You are paying them money. You can give them housing. You can give them things, but they're also paying back in, rather than just give and hope that they end up, again, floating somewhere else. It doesn't happen like that. If you want to boost your economy, the only way to do it is by getting people to pay into it. And the only way you're going to do that is by, when people come into it, you give them jobs. And we have plenty of them. The problem is that the governments and the powers that be are like, how is this going to work? Let's have a few less bottles of wine. Why don't you guys start number crunching, looking at what it would actually cost to put people in some of these farmlands where you could build things, you could use them to build things. There's so much that can be done, and it's not just that way. Urban farming, I do urban farming, and it's not, there is so much space, and it's not because I like farming, it's because actually there is an opportunity on every doorstep in every country in the world to grow your own food. The difference is the knowledge has been taken away from you, and it's a very simple solution to get that knowledge back. So let's stop making a mockery of democracy. Let's start looking at freedom of speech. So like the lady in Australia, Moria, who got kicked out of the parliament for voicing her concerns about women and women's rights. Like, really? Come on. This is not a man's world. We are equal. And you want to talk about equality and inclusion and all of that. Let's start giving women their rights before you start taking them away from us. So I'm going to leave you there. Please like, share, and get the message out there.